What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, and this is Flix Fix. We're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming Avengers Doomsday. Yes, it's huge, it's magical, it's wonderful. There is a caveat right before we get started. I want to just remind everybody that hasn't seen my movie content before. Mostly I have to come up here and talk about horror stuff, but I do talk about Marvel and the MCU quite a bit. I don't read comics. I don't have the context of the comics. I don't have the history of knowledge from the comics. What I say here, what I think here, what I pontificate here, what I predict here, etc. is about the movies going forward based on the movies that have been. And if you come at me with, well, you don't know that X happened in Y issue of Z comic, this is not what this is. This is a movie conversation based on movies that have been and what I think about the movies that are to come. And if you can help me come along with that context, with that frame of mind, with that outlook going forward, then we're good. If you're going to come out with, well, that's not what happened in XYZ comic, this might not be the pod for you. I'm just putting it out there. Now, as far as Marvel content goes, I do have a lot of Marvel content on here. If you want to go back far enough, there is one massive, megapod that myself and Black Cat Feline did around the time of Infinity War and Endgame. We did one massive overlook review thing of the first 19 movies. The last time I was up here to talk about Marvel, I believe, was when myself and Senor Guapo came up here to do a review of, what was it? Was it Guardians of the Galaxy Chapter 3? Volume 3. Possibly. There's been a dip. MCU Marvel has not been perfect by any stretch of the imagination. We have had Thunderbolts, which was a lot of fun. We have had Captain America, Brand New Day, which I like Anthony Mackie, but they tried to do a lot of politicking in that movie. Didn't love it for sure. Ironheart was all right. They've brought back Daredevil, which I really enjoyed, but that's basically because they've brought forward what they did on the Marvel Netflix series, which most of them I think were pretty damn amazing. They did Miss Marvel, which led to the Marvels, which was a whole lot of cringe. They did She-Hulk, and the less said about that, the better. It's been hit and miss, and a lot of people have talked about Marvel fatigue, and Fantastic Four was fun for what they were trying to do for introducing some new characters and whatnot. Pedro Pascal is not my favorite person in the world, I'm not gonna lie. Seems like a bit of a weirdo in real life, and it sort of came through the screen, but Buddy from Stranger Things that played Eddie was also in it, and he was great. So I don't know what to tell you there. Plus, it's from a different world. It didn't feel that connected, and it was what Marvel gets accused of quite a bit. A bunch of awkward characters, having awkward relationships and friendships and all these types of things, and fighting big CGI baddie at the end with a tie-in that would bring them back to the MCU eventually. That is guilty of being part of the MCU predictable pattern, so to speak. And there's more stuff coming. There's Black Panther news coming up. There's new Spider-Man stuff coming up. Spider-Man, in his last outing, sort of divorced himself from everybody around him, so he almost feels like a brand new character. That's also something they got to tap dance around. But in the distance, in the far, the only thing they have to compare themselves to is DC, so they're not in any real danger because DC is like the AEW of comic book movies, and the less said about that, the better. Superman was shit. Peacemaker was great, and then they sort of tucked him away safely in the overhead compartment, so that wasn't that great either. Thing is, for the wrestling fans out there that know that this is Royal Rumble season, even though it's in Saudi this year, don't worry about it, it's fine. We all, even if we're the most jaded, boring wrestling fans ever, everybody gets a little bit excited about the Royal Rumble for the exact same reason that you can get a little bit excited about an Avengers movie, like a proper big, bookend Avengers movie, like Doomsday, in the very same way, because you can kind of say, well, here's what we know, here's who we think is going to be there, here's what we think is going to happen, and let's see who else shows up. This is very much the Royal Rumble of Marvel movie making at this particular point, and I couldn't do one individual, hey, we finally got a trailer, let's talk about it, because the way they're rolling out these trailers, the way they're rolling out these, I guess they're teasers, is a little bit different than what a normal movie trailer is. I kind of like it. I'm not gonna lie. It's a different approach, and they don't come off like trailers. They come off like this was the what do you call it? The post credit of a previous movie, complete with the so and so will return tags that are on all of them. I think they're intentionally being produced to look like and feel like and have the vibe of a post credit scene. So we've had a few now. We've had one for Captain America. We've had one for Thor. We've had one for the X-Men, which has a lot of people percolating because, you know, we know after Secret Wars, the next phase after that, which I believe we're now in phase 7, is going to be the mutant saga, which is going to heavily revolve around the X-Men. And there's one, the last one, that we've only seen in sort of potato quality, which is the Wakandans, the Talakans, and the Fantastic Four themselves. So I thought I would sort of give some general thoughts on the teasers that we've seen so far, the individual teasers that we've seen so far, and again, I have to make the tie back to wrestling. You can have something like an ad for the Royal Rumble, or you can have an individual hype package like we're seeing right. If you're watching WWE right now, you know the biggest upcoming, like, anticipated star is Obafemi, and the hype packages that he's getting just for himself are very impactful, very effective in what they're doing. For those of us that watch NXT, we know who Obafemi is, we know what to get excited about, and the people that only watch main roster WWE are saying, holy fuck, look at that guy, can't wait till he shows up. Very similar to what they're doing here with the individual characters in these individualized commercials for Doomsday. Doomsday's got a long way to go. I think it's still like 12 months away. So, let's get into it. First one, and I don't know if this is in the right order. I'm telling you this in the order that I saw them, like 1 week, 1 week, 1 week. I think they were phasing them out. The idea was they were phasing them out in theaters so that one of them would have the Doomsday countdown clock, saying 12 months away, and the next commercial would say the Doomsday clock at 11 months and 3 weeks away, and they were progressive with it like that, which I think is also a nice touch. And the fact that the Avengers logo has a bunch of ruins engraved in it to look like the magic and the technology of Doctor Doom is a nice touch as well. Thing about Marvel is you've always got those little touches that are, some of them are just, oh, that's neat, and some of them are like, oh, in 10 years that's going to mean something. The first thing they did before they did any of this, though, with these, like I say, these post-credit style individualized teasers, was Chair Watch. I didn't realize Chair Watch had happened until like several days later when people were doing their compilations to be like, hey, if you didn't sit through like the 5 hours of slow motion Chair Watch, here's the announcements. And it was a very cool way of just saying, here's the people you can look forward to seeing. And I pull it up from the Marvel Studio Spoilers Reddit, the list of people that were revealed in Chair Watch. And I'm going to say it by character, not by actor, because some of the actors' names I can't pronounce, and I really don't want to be disrespectful. But Thor's coming back, Sue Storm is coming back, Sam Wilson is coming back, Bucky is coming back, Shuri is coming back, Ant-Man, U.S. Agent, Namor, Ben Grimm, Shang-Chi, Yelena Belova, Beast, Sentry, the new Falcon, Johnny Storm, Red Guardian, M'Baku, Ghost, Loki, Charles Xavier, Magneto, Nightcrawler, Mystique, Cyclops, Gambit, Reed Richards, and Doctor Doom himself. Doctor Doom himself, as was revealed a shit ton of a long time ago now, that footage went around the world like it was on fire. The reveal by the Russos that Doctor Doom was going to be played by Robert Downey Jr. And that set the world on fire as well. I really like Robert Downey Jr. I think he's got a really cool story behind him. Very, very Jelly Roll in nature. I like the Jelly Roll story too. I've been paying attention to that as we've gone along. The idea that people want, that we're hoping it was going to be somebody new, is fair. The idea that, oh my god, why the hell would they go with not Johnny Depp, that's a whole other shit, that's a whole other story altogether. Why would they go with Robert Downey Jr. again? Why would they double up? Well, if you have something that lasts as long as the MCU has, you're gonna have people double up. It's gonna happen. We've had 2 different Quicksilvers. Peter Dinklage has played 2 different characters in 2 different versions of Marvel. We had 2 different people play Rhodey. There's been 2 Chris Evans has played two characters. He was one of the Fantastic Four, and then he went on to eventually become the real Captain America. I think it's kind of shallow. I think it's a lot of people that are just saying, oh, I fantasy booked it to be this person, and it wasn't, and I'm butthurt, so I want to pretend I have a point. If you were hoping it was going to be somebody new for the sake of variety, that's a fair criticism. But if you're going to say that somebody making a movie and choosing Robert Downey Jr. to be in their movie is a bad choice, you're just lying to yourself. And that's my opinion. I'm sorry. Now, I don't want it to be a sake of all the Avengers see Doctor Doom for the first time and think it's Tony Stark. I don't want it to be that. That's one of those things you throw in when you want to have a little bit of that awkward comedy that Marvel is accused of having too much of. I like the awkward Marvel comedy sometimes, especially when you got like the Asgardians and the Guardians of the Galaxy and those types of characters. It has its place for sure. I don't want to do it here because all you're doing is putting an underline on those people that want to put this criticism on there a year, maybe 2 years before the movie even comes out, which I don't think is fair at all. Lots of people though, but as I say, you got the Fantastic Four in there, you've got the X-Men in there, you got the Wakandans in there, you got all the separate, like, splintered factions now of the Avengers. You got the OG Avengers in there, you got the new sort of Avengers that Sam Wilson, Captain America #2, is putting together. You've got the Thunderbolts, which were introduced to the public in canon as the new Avengers under what's her name's authority, the one that's played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I still think it's funny because I still go back now and run through old episodes of Seinfeld, so seeing Julia Louis-Dreyfus playing a villain in Marvel now is kind of wild. But let's go through these commercials and what they gave us. Some of them gave us a little bit, some of them gave us a lot. The first one is Captain America. And I have to preface this a couple of different ways, because I've never liked the Captain America character. I haven't. And it's not because Chris Evans is a bad actor, and it's not because I think the character itself is a bad character. It's just the kind of character that I find obnoxious. A little too good to be real. A little like, I'm always going to stand up for what's right. My collar is always going to be just prim and proper. They're very different characters, but he's the Superman of Marvel in the sense of, I'm going to stand on my mountain of superiority, and I'm going to, I know what I'm doing is the right thing, and everybody else should listen to me, because of course I have everybody's best interest in heart, so everybody listen to me. It's super forced babyface John Cena whenever you want to say his most forced was in wrestling. I'm sorry, this is a mostly wrestling channel. My comparisons are going to involve wrestling quite a bit. It's babyface Roman Reigns. It's kind of what Cody Rhodes is tiptoeing towards right now. It's the whole, I'm a good guy and I do good things, but I also walk around with a sense of moral superiority, like my shit doesn't stink. I've never liked the Captain Marvel character. The second Captain Marvel is a Bucky movie. The third Captain Marvel is an Avengers movie. The first Captain Marvel is shit. By the way, I love Marvel. Doesn't mean Marvel. There we go. I can speak, I swear. I like Marvel. Doesn't mean I like everything in Marvel. I'm sorry, I'm one of those guys. The second two Thor movies are a lot more fun than the first two. The second one, especially, is a bit of a drag to get through. Shakespeare in the Park, etc. Captain America, his trailer just consists of a long shot of him driving through the country on his motorcycle and arriving home. You see his silhouette at the front door. You see him in what I'm guessing is either his workspace or his garage or whatever, putting his getup, his costume, whatever you want, his suit, the red, white, and blue suit that I'm sure people would boo these days to try and make some kind of point. He's putting it away in storage. He's putting it in a box. I believe the implication is he went back in time to be with Agent Carter to live the life that got taken away from him when he went into the ice, which is fine. The idea is, as well, or as I've seen most people speculate, he went back in time reconnected with her, then went back through time, put all the Infinity Stones back where they were supposed to be, and then went back home to her, lived an entire life, and then old him that looked like Joe Biden gave the shield, to Sam. I'm sorry, that's mean. He didn't look like Joe Biden. He can still walk up the stairs, etc. So we're following him towards the house, and we see him putting the costume away. Then we see a brief shot of him in an upstairs room with the light coming in, and it's all nice, and it's all lovely, and it's all wonderful, and he's holding a baby. So he went back, and he had the life that he wanted to. Steve Rogers and Agent Carter, they had a baby. It's all good. And then it just kind of fades away with the sad version of the Avengers theme that's in all of these trailers. And it just, like the post-credit scenes says, Steve Rogers will return in Doomsday. Now, everybody's landed on the fact that it says Steve Rogers will return, not Captain America will return. Here's the thing, and people don't want to hear me say this. I like Anthony Mackie as an actor. I think Anthony Mackie as an actor is fantastic. If you're going strictly by movie canon, he is Captain America #2. And that is going to get underlined when Captain America OG comes back. That's a fact. It just is. He's #2. That's why his Falcon is Falcon #2. And I don't know the name of the guy that plays Ramirez. I'm sorry, that's a fall off on my part. But he's Falcon #2. It is what it is. And when the dominoes stand back up, Captain America is going to be Captain America. Somebody in that movie is going to call him Captain America just so he can be all bashful and shy. Well, actually, no, let me be clear. Let me be the good guy here. He's Captain America now. And he's going to have this stupid fake humble moment. And it's going to put this patronizing tone onto Anthony Mackie's character that it doesn't need because it's already kind of there, which sucks because, as I say, Anthony Mackie is awesome. The movie that they built around him for his first Captain America movie was terrible and full of political garbage. Let me be perfectly clear about that. He's great. He was stuck in a shitty movie. Same thing with Captain Marvel, the first one. She's great. The movie was crap. And then the sequel was even worse. But we will get there when we get there. He's coming back. Now, in defense of the Steve Rogers character, everybody who seems to be against this and is doing that whole, oh my god, they're just bringing all the old people back. First of all, Robert Downey Jr. is playing a brand new character. Second of all, Steve Rogers, I don't like the character, but this doesn't erase his happy ending. This doesn't erase him going around, dropping all the Infinity Stones off, and then living a life that he wanted with Peggy Carter, and then handing the shield off to his friend. It doesn't erase any of that, because this is the Steve Rogers that existed before that. That's all. He's gonna do whatever happens here, go back in time again, still live that old man life, still look like Joe Biden, still give the shield back to Sam, and it's gonna be fine. I don't know. It wound a lot of people up, and it wound people up so much that I ended up defending a character that I don't really like, which is really strange. But the trailer itself is short, sweet. Like I say, it's not orchestral. It's very, very minute piano-type stuff that they've done with the Avengers theme, which still means something. If you go online right now, if you go on YouTube and whatever, and just Google, Avengers theme, you'll find whole bands, whole orchestras, whole symphonies that have done covers of that initial dun 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 dun, like that theme. Everybody's done something with it. People have done it, with Rock Band, and they've turned it into an electric guitar riff, and that sounds awesome. It's very much like the Pirates of the Caribbean theme that people did a lot with before the MCU came along. But it's very effective. There's no words, there's no dialogue in it whatsoever. It's just him coming home to his baby, and that's going to be a theme throughout all of it. The second one is the one that kind of got my attention a bit more. I love the Thor character. I love Chris Hemsworth as Thor. I liked him for comedy value. I liked him in the first two when he was very much what Robert Downey Jr. referred to as Shakespeare in the Park Thor, with the heavier accent, with more of the royal presentation and whatever. I liked that because it was very fish out of water and very, why is that guy talking like that? Why does that guy look like that? Come chill with us and be normal for a bit and drink some beer. And then who was it? It was Taika Waititi that took over the Thor movies for Ragnarok and Love and Thunder and just made them fun. Just made them like rock and roll music video type of things. And not everybody liked that. A lot of people thought it went too far the other way. And I can see that as an argument, absolutely. The fact that Chris Hemsworth completely owned both versions of this character, both the version that took itself way too seriously and the version that was having fun and chilling with Star-Lord, and then they had the whole like Asgardians of the galaxy and all that kind of thing. Great, wonderful. In this, it looks like he's going a little bit more to the serious side. When we left Love and Thunder, Gore the God Butcher had died. They had resurrected Gore's daughter. Thor decided to adopt her. Her name is Love, hence we got the movie name Love and Thunder. That was a little bit on the nose, I think. And just the two of them together going through the universe, like, helping people. Very, very cool. Very, very, like, pause vibes type stuff. But it's him in the middle of a forest. He's kneeling in front of his axe, like somebody in the real world would kneel in front of a cross. He's praying to the Allfathers, which is obviously his father, in Valhalla. And as they pointed out before, and it happened in Ragnarok as well, like when you pray to people, or when you pray to your loved ones that have passed on in the Marvel universe, it's just like the realm of death is just a different reality. Like Black Panther was able to go into like the Panther pantheon and talk to his dad and get advice and whatever. And then you got in Ragnarok, you got the famous Odin speech. Is like, "Are you Thor, god of hammers?" All this type of thing. So what it brings up, and this was not brought up by me, this has been brought up by a couple people online, but it's a very, very good point. If dying just means going somewhere else in the Marvel universe, then that means his brother Loki exists in Valhalla, as well as God Emperor Loki, who's, mending the timeline in his little green chair there. So there's the Loki that lived a full life reunited with his brother and then died, and then there's the other Loki that didn't get any of that but watched it happen because he's the sort of the guardian of the whole timeline now. So there's a very cool emotional thing that they could play on there with the Loki character that they haven't even really touched on in any trailers yet, to be honest. But the whole voiceover. Sorry guys, it's dry here today, so if I'm coughing, you're gonna have to excuse me because I'm not editing. It's Saturday and I'm lazy. But he's praying to Odin, and he's talking about all the things that he's done in the past like 1,500 years that he's been alive have all been about honor and duty and war and winning battles and being an honorable warrior and leader and all these types of things. The one thing he never expected was to have a child. While he's in the woods doing this, the voiceover continues while we get other footage of Love, who still is with him, who's played by Chris Hemsworth's real life daughter, which is kind of a nice touch, kind of a nice little Easter egg within and of itself. I never thought I'd be in this role. I want to keep her away from this. She's never seen the wars that I've seen. I want to keep her innocent. Let me fight one last time. Let me fight this one last enemy and get back to her. Again, the fade out. Thor will return in Doomsday. If they're gonna, I don't want to say this because if nobody's really dead, then no death really matters. And if no death really matters, then the entire Infinity War storyline doesn't matter. So they got to be careful with that. But I mean, do we get the return of Odin? Do we get the return of original Loki? Do we have the other Loki step down from his time throne thing? How much of the rest of Asgard is involved in this? Do we have Valkyrie? Do we have Korg? Do we have Meek? All these types of things. Jane Foster, we know, passed away from her illnesses within the story of Love and Thunder, but we saw her, and Heimdall is up there as well. So if we're gonna go across dimensions and across realms and across different stages of reality, and we're gonna crash all these realities into one, which is apparently gonna happen at what is it? Not Infinity War. Avengers Secret Wars is where that's going to happen. Does that mean we're going to crash the world of the living and the world of the dead into one realm? Because that could get really messy from a storytelling point of view really, really quickly. I think it's cool. The fact that he's reverting back to a little bit more of the serious Thor that we saw in the first couple of things. The fact that he's gone off, he's left Asgard behind, and he's left his friends with the Guardians also, with Star-Lord and all them behind, and it's just him and his adopted daughter hopping around the universe, like, helping people solve problems and whatnot. But now he's come back, and now he does need a team, now he does need a faction, a family, an army, whatever you want to call it. They're gonna have, at some point, their Avengers Assemble moment again. Even though they ripped the piss out of it in Deadpool, where Deadpool was getting all excited about him saying Avengers Assemble, and instead he went flame on and was the Human Torch, which again is my latest example of just, you can't get upset about one actor coming back to play another character, because they've done it a lot. They brought in Channing Tatum to be Gambit, because he might have been Gambit in another movie where he wasn't. So, like, what are we doing here? I really like Thor. The Avengers as a whole, if I look at the Avengers, I say, oh, I really, really identify with that character. The characters that I identify most with, and you guys might laugh at this, are Iron Man and Rocket. But Thor, probably, if those two are tied for first, Thor might be third. I really like Thor. What's her name? Black Widow. There's a new Black Widow, so do we see the old Black Widow? If we're playing around with the realms of life and death and all that kind of thing, and everybody that... They can't do it too much, is where I'm going with that. They can't play around with the realms of life and death. But if he's praying to his dad, and it's just a way to get exposition, or if it was just a way to get this monologue for the trailer, that's fine. If they bring Odin back, I don't know. I don't know about that. I'm not sure. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see how they play with it, but it has the potential to fall on its ass really fucking quickly. Now, the one that gets a lot of people going, like the MCU already had Captain America. The MCU already had Thor. By the way, Thor also featured heavily in this trailer with not his kid, but his adopted kid. Captain America in the first trailer with his kid. How about a building full of a bunch of kids? How about the Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters, aka the Charles Xavier Academy for Mutants? The X-Men trailer that got everybody going. So let's talk about this one as well. The whole thing is a swooping shot through the empty Xavier School. Everything's damaged, everything's broken, everything's fucked up, and it's not voiced over by Xavier, it's voiced over by Magneto. The entire voiceover, the entire theme of his voiceover is the fact that you can't avoid death. Death comes for all of us. You can't pick and choose whether or not you're going to die. You can only, what is it? Death comes for us all, and who will you be when you close your eyes? Which is a great moral compass structure thing. Eventually it comes to Magneto, who's next to Charles, and they're together, obviously, so apparently they're not fighting each other in this reality. There's a separate conversation to have about what reality, or what realm, dimension, version, world, universe are they living in, because depending on what universe you're in, Charles Xavier's already died, I think, 2 or 3 times over the Fox movies, and then again in Multiverse of Madness when he had his whole like insides scrambled by Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch is another entire conversation, because are they going to do House of M? Does she come in? Does she come back even though we think she's dead, and do no more mutants, like that one famous frame that I've seen from the comic, even though I don't read comic books? Is she going to do a thing that kills all the mutants? But there's a big monologue, like I say, as this big sweeping shot goes through the Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters, aka the Charles Xavier School for Mutants. You got Magneto talking about death, you got the two of them together, you got the chessboard, which is so iconic to both of their characters. You see the piece lifting off the board, so obviously it's a magnetic chessboard. And then it flashes quickly to the outside to a further destroyed School for Gifted Youngsters, and the only person on his knees in front of the building is Cyclops, who's just having his like rage out moment. The glasses come down, the eye beams go up, and then it slams to black. The X-Men will return in Doomsday. So what I'm saying from this is that Doctor Doom has already been to whatever universe this is. Whatever has happened has been absolutely catastrophic. The school's been taken out. A bunch of kids are either dead or missing. to exacerbate this whole theme of every trailer so far has had a kid in it. And Cyclops is just, what do they say? The all is lost moment in movies, where even the heroist of heroes just rages out. And, you know, if it was a regular not comic book movie, it would be the moment where the upstanding hero turns around and decks somebody because there's nothing else to do. It looks cool. It looks like what are the big robots called in the X-Men movies? I think they're called the Sentries. I might be thinking about that because of the character Sentry, but the big robots, you can see them walking around distantly in the background of the fire of the building. But if that building's gone, there's obviously the potential that there's just a bunch of dead X-Men, which is a heck of a way to start off the story. There's the potential for a bunch of fucking dead kids, which is, again, gonna put things forward and whatever. Or, as I've been saying all along, and as most people have been predicting all along, is the whole idea, hey, these kids are powerful. These kids can be useful to Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom takes Captain America's kid, takes Thor's adopted kid, takes Charles Xavier's students, and is building like a kid army. Because what else? There's a lot of younger characters in the MCU right now in general. If you look at Ant-Man, we got Stature now. If you look at the Scarlet Witch character, you've got Tommy and Billy. There's other ones that I'm not thinking about right now. There's Ironheart. There's Miss Marvel. There's I can't think of her name, but Tony Stark's daughter, who wasn't part of the fight, obviously, but she was wearing an Iron Man mask in Endgame, so that's a precursor to something, I'm sure. We've got at the end of the second Black Panther movie, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, they did debut a young kid that was supposed to be the young T'Challa Jr., T'Challa the Second, however you want to say it. So, I don't know what it is, and as I say, I haven't read the comics, but it gives vibes of, like, Doctor Doom's gonna build, like, a child army. The same way, in a much more joking way, going back to Thor, when he imbued all the kids with the power of Thor, and anything they had in their hands, including a teddy bear, became as powerful as Mjolnir. Like, that was done for comic value for the most part. And it was one of those Taika Waititi rock music video moments. But you could have a very serious version of that with Doctor Doom going around to not only all these different heroes, but all these different heroes in all these different realities and grabbing all their kids for his own devious purposes. Now, the first one that we saw that wasn't actually in a trailer, that was actually in a proper post-credit scene, was Franklin Richards at the end of the Fantastic Four, when they just cut to the room where the kid was, and all you saw was Doctor Doom with his cloak, with his mask off, but you didn't see him, because obviously Robert Downey Jr. wasn't actually there to film this one post-credit scene. But it brings me to the last ad, which I haven't seen a clear copy of, let me be real for a moment. The last one, and it's like, okay, this is the Captain America one, this is the Thor one, this is the X-Men one, this is the Wakandans, Talokan, and Fantastic Four one. There's a voiceover by Shuri talking about how it's a king's job to get his citizens ready for basically their next life, which is a bit doomsday-y. But then she says, I've got missions and purposes of my own as well, which lends itself to, I believe, and I might be misinterpreting this, so please somebody tell me in the box below, when they finished off Black Panther Wakanda Forever, was it basically decided that the job of King and the job of Black Panther were split, where Shuri stayed as being the Black Panther and M'Baku became the king of Wakanda, representing the ape tribe and being the king of Wakanda at the same time? Because what I have seen is the two of them and Namor, they've all got new armor, they've all got upgrades because, you know, Marvel needs to sell new toys, but also different things happen, things change. Thor has a new setup as well. But what I notice is hers is a lot more sharp, a lot more aggressive looking, like the black and gold of it, and it's got flashes of blue in it as well. And the same thing with M'Baku, even though M'Baku is a much more low-tech, it's wood on the outside, he's still got like vibranium weapons and whatnot, but like it's a little bit more stripped back and a little bit more natural looking, and they both got the splashes of blue in it. And the shot that I've seen of Namor is not nearly as clear, but it looks like it's the same kind of dark and blue. So is it a subtle visual hint that the people from Talocan and the people from Wakanda have sort of found like mutual ground, mutual alliance type of thing? Is Namor, you know, sort of manipulating Shuri, tapping into some of her more angry elements, because it wasn't her brother at the end of the day that inspired her to become the Black Panther. It was Killmonger, who, if they're gonna pull back anybody from the dead realm, I keep saying it that way, I don't know what they're gonna call it, you can't do T'Challa for obvious reasons because Chadwick Boseman's no longer with us. If you bring back Michael B. Jordan's Killmonger, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but it would be a way of influencing the worst impulses of Shuri, making her vulnerable to the manipulation of Namor, who's got like less than favorable intentions, shall we say. Now, the one thing I saw, and I'm not going to go into this too much because it is kind of a political thing, there's people out there in the world that are like mad that Namor they've just played it off as he's mad at the surface world, which is fine, and it's not, it's very Aquaman, I get it, but he's just mad at the surface world, and he doesn't hate white people as much as he should. Again, I don't read the comics, so somebody's got to correct me down in the box below, somebody's got to fill me in at the box below. Is Namor in the comics openly like anti-white racist? Because that ain't great. I mean, I know I'm not the one that should be saying that, but that ain't great. If they want to take that and translate it for a broader audience to say, this guy that lives in the water hates the guys on the land, it's a little bit more palatable. I'm sorry, it just is. And I like that. I can't pronounce the guy's name. Where is his name? I'm going to find it on the list here. Tanak Huerta Maheja. This is why I didn't try to pronounce people's names, because I'm bad at it and I don't want to be disrespectful. I think he was really good as the Namor character that I'm not that familiar with. I thought he was really, really good in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. And Shuri, Letitia Wright, is fantastic. Absolute, like the load that her character had to carry, both in fiction and her as an actress going into that second Black Panther movie, was insurmountable, and I think she absolutely killed it. But are we pushing for more racism in our Marvel movies? I don't really love that as an idea. But anyways, so there's a planned meeting of all of these people on some sort of desert landscape. As I say, watching a trailer on potato quality doesn't give me very much to talk about. I don't know why they're meeting in a desert when one side of this agreement is a very water-based army. That part doesn't make sense to me. Maybe it'll make sense when we get to the movie. But they run into the Fantastic Four, and M'Baku introduces himself to the Thing. He says, you know, I am M'Baku, you know, head of the ape tribe, king of Wakanda, whatever. And then the Thing is just like, hi, I'm Ben Grimm from Yancey Street. And it's just like, okay, cool. They're going to dude bro out for a minute, which is absolutely fine. Now, I will say, because we're bringing all these characters together, there's just some things that you just want to see. Like, you want to see Drax versus the Hulk. Not because of any logical reason, but look, it's the two big green guys. Won't it be funny? I want to see the Thing meet Korg. And do you remember when they were on Thanos' planet, and for a minute or two, like, they all were fighting each other? Like, Doctor Strange was fighting, Iron Man was fighting, Star-Lord was fighting Spider-Man, because they didn't know that they were all on the same page. Why is Gamora? Etc., etc., etc. If they want to do some comedy, do some fighting between the two rock guys. Alright? So now, here's where I tie it back to the theme of it all, is Captain America, you saw him with his kid. Thor, you saw him praying to his gods that he's able to come back to his adopted kid. The Xavier School for Youngsters, which was potentially full of kids. And then you've got the Wakanda tie-in with the Fantastic Four. No kids in this trailer, but we know that Franklin Richards was the very first kid we saw Doomsday go after in the actual post-credit scene of the Fantastic Four. I think these have been put together fantastically well. I think by the time they give us an actual trailer of what's actually happening and where everything starts and ends and all that kind of thing in a proper cinematic, probably at the Super Bowl or something like that. I don't give a shit about football, but we go to the halftime show of the Super Bowl to see all the movie trailers and see who's performing that year. I mean, there's 2 different Super Bowl shows this year, but we don't really have to go into that, do we? I'm not watching Bad Bunny. I'm just saying, just putting it out there. But yeah, so there's going to be one big whole trailer, and I predict it's going to be like the first time we got the first trailer for Infinity War. The very first trailer that we got for the first announcement of Infinity War was that it was just scattershot of everybody and what they were doing, and it had Nick Fury and all the other characters sort of retelling, re-saying the Nick Fury, hey, there was once an idea speech that we knew from the first Avengers movie, to bring together the world's greatest warriors, the greatest spectacular people to fight the wars that we can't. And it was before we even got to Infinity War, it was that first trailer where you could feel the threads of all the different movies slowly pulling together. And I know that's me being like super like deep and metaphorical and whatever, and it probably sounded really cheesy, but it's true. You could feel like the laces of the shoe starting to pull together before you even went to Infinity War. The fact, I will still say this, for Marvel, for the MCU, and yeah, it's under Disney now, that's a whole other conversation for another time. What they had to pull together for Infinity War and Endgame to work, I'm almost to the point of saying it wouldn't have mattered whether it was good or not. I thought they were good. The fact that those movies, Infinity War and Endgame, even remotely work is not going to be replicated by anybody else. DC is trying to do it. The Monsterverse is trying to do it. You get something like Unbreakable, Split, and Glass from the M. Night Shyamalan trilogy that tried to do it. Godzilla, King Kong, Mothra, Mechagodzilla, etc. They're trying to do it. There's nothing that exists on that scale. Marvel, I have to say it. I said it at the beginning of the pod, and I'll say it again here now. Marvel is far from perfect. MCU is far from perfect. They've had actor changes. They've had actor doubles. They've had loopholes. They've had shitty side TV shows. They've had shitty iterations of movies, which is what happens when you get 4 or 5 or 6 of a particular movie. There are, there's that expression, when you paint my portrait, paint it warts and all. MCU, warts and all, there's nothing that beats it for what they've accomplished. So they've set themselves the task now of convince me that this is bigger than that was. Because when you did that, you convinced me that it was the biggest thing ever. I'm really excited about this. And I'm more interested in speculation and, hey, what might happen, what could happen, what do we think should happen. I'm more interested in those conversations than what they've shown us so far. Captain America's there. Does that mean he's going to fight with the other Captain America? Does that mean we're getting Captain Carter in this movie? Does that mean that Steve Rogers' kid is going to weirdly age up and we're going to see him in current day? Thor's there. Does that mean Odin is back? Does that mean we get 2 Lokis? Are we going to see his adopted daughter Love in a fight with some kids from Dr. Doom's team? The X-Men are there. How many of the X-Men are there? What versions of the X-Men are we going to get? I said, as well, when we talk about actors, most characters in the X-Men canon on Fox were played by at least 2 different actors. So are we getting the 2 versions of those as well? Are we getting... with Black Panther as well. The Black Panther is Shuri right now. The rumor is going forward as we go towards Black Panther 3, a new fellow by the name of Damson Idris, I think. Again, I'm horrible with names. Somebody correct me down in the box below. Has been cast to be the new T'Challa. I'm going to say, I don't know whether that's good or bad. I don't know anything about this particular actor. But the way that Chadwick Boseman's death hit not only the MCU, but the fan base and the world outside, etc., because of all of his contributions outside of movie making, replacing somebody because they left a franchise and replacing somebody because they passed away are two very different things. And I think if that's true, they're opening themselves up to a hornet's nest. If you want to say that this guy is playing an aged-up version of T'Challa's kid, cool. If you want to say that he's just here now to be the new T'Challa, man, you got to be careful with that. I'm just saying. This is all speculation by me as well. This is all speculation on what I've heard, and I'll say it for the 100th time. This is the speculation of a guy that loves these movies and has never touched a comic book in his life. And I've rambled on for quite long enough now. If you've made it this far, I really do appreciate it. If you like this, and you also like wrestling, 99 times out of 100, this is a pro wrestling channel, so hang out for that as well. We got a lot of wrestling news and whatever for your fancy as well. But that's about it. That's about all. It's not a single trailer. It's made me meander all over the place. I'm glad you guys have taken the chance to come and listen to me ramble. But yeah, this has been me kind of sort of talking about what we know about Marvel's Avengers Doomsday so far. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am out of here. Bye, guys.